3-count commentaries. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw, the go-home show to Payback, August the 28th, 2023. Honestly, one of the better episodes of Monday Night Raw. Still some stuff on it that I don't really care for, but they did a good job this week, and I was actually engaged for the first time in a long time. All right, so let's talk about a couple of things. One, John Cena, we know he will be here for at least 8 weeks. So, and we also know what he will be doing in India. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Ronda Rousey and the UFC. Those rumors are striking up again. Where's Shayna Baszler, by the way? I don't know. Then we're going to start with the WWE NFL deal, which normally I wouldn't talk about, with the exception of there was just a teeny tiny bit of conspiracy going on about this whole thing. So what was happening? Well, WWE inked a deal with the NFL to do some signature championship belts. It's sort of a licensing agreement between WWE and the NFL, and it's going to be fulfilled by the NFL shop and by Fanatics. So basically, they make championship belts of your favorite football team. That's what it is. So shortly after the announcement, people noticed that there was no Jacksonville Jaguars listed on the site. So people start to say, what's happening? Is it that WWE got petty, upset that AEW broke their attendance record, and then took down the Jacksonville Jaguars championship belt? Or was it that Tony Khan was pissy about WWE making money off of the Jacksonville Jaguars logo and forced them to take it down? So despite the fact that the conspiracy theories abounded, Fanatics on Twitter said that the title was sold out, and that's why it was no longer featured on the site. Now, people who regularly use Fanatics say that's how it works. They take things down, they take it off the site so you can't order it if it's already sold out. Now, I took a look myself because I was interested and I wanted to see the designs. And I noticed that the New Orleans Saints don't have one up there either, and neither do the Detroit Lions. Looking at the sites a little bit and looking at Twitter, it seems that the Lions belts have sold out, and so have the New Orleans Saints belts, and that there's a couple of others that are probably about to get taken down soon. The Houston Texans and a couple of others that it says almost gone, and then they take it off the site when it does. So apparently that's what's happening, but people don't believe it because Fanatics does business with WWE. They think it's a lie. They think Fanatics and the NFL are lying to you about the Jacksonville Jaguars $550 belts being sold out. Here's why, even after I verified it with my own 2 eyes, I still believe the sold out theory, because football fans are collectors. Wrestling fans are also collectors. I don't think they made a lot of these things because these things are expensive. Again, they're $500. They're over $500. I think with taxes, they're probably $600 or better. All right. You have to really want this in order to get it. I don't think they made a hell of a lot of them. So I can imagine that really some high rollers who are big fans of that team and maybe collect merchandise from specifically that team went and bought these and figured we're probably never going to see these goddamn things again because there's not going to be a lot of them made. So they went and bought them. I mean, there's people who buy old jerseys, old helmets, cleats, etc., etc. Why wouldn't they buy a signature championship belt? Why wouldn't they buy that? And I can see it happening. So to me, it didn't seem out of the realm of possibility that the Jacksonville Jaguars has a fan base that bought the title. Now, to think that it was the first one to sell out, well, I can't say that it was the first one to sell out because I didn't catch that story that early. There could have been somebody else missing, but people were focusing on Jacksonville Jaguars for the obvious reason. The Khans own the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's why they were paying attention to that. But hell, the Saints could have been the first ones gone, or the Lions could have, or maybe some other team that I'm not thinking of could have been the first team that to sell out. But Jacksonville nailed it. They killed it. Apparently this is a success already. And I didn't see the benefit of it. I'm looking like, who's going to buy this shit? And then apparently there's a lot of people willing to buy that stuff. So it is what it is. But I don't think it's a conspiracy. How silly would it be for anybody in WWE to ink a deal with the NFL knowing that the Khans own a football team and then purposefully cut yourself off from revenue by not selling the Jacksonville Jaguars merchandise? Even if it's not a lot of people, you can still move merchandise. It doesn't kill you. Guess what? WWE and AEW, or the Khans and WWE, they are in competition, but it's not like, Dracula and the sun. They're not going to melt if they come into contact with each other. So I'm pretty sure this is not that big a goddamn deal. And I doubt Tony Khan, I don't even think he has even any control over what's happening here. Like, I don't think he could even request that they take it down. If anything, he might, want to do something silly with it, like throw the belt in the garbage or something like that, which would probably piss off the NFL more than WWE, but whatever. So I don't think that either side even has an incentive to have it pulled from the site. So it doesn't make sense to me to even go that route. All right, next up, Ronda Rousey. Somebody from the Daily Mail, which is a gossip site, if we're being honest, is trying to get everybody to believe that Ronda Rousey is going back to the UFC. So, oh brother, it says, exclusive, WWE star Ronda Rousey is ready to quit wrestling so she can take one final shot at reclaiming her UFC title before turning her hand to TV and movies and trying for a second child. That, I don't know. So, speaking exclusively to the DailyMail.com, one of the 36-year-old's confidants says she just had a match at SummerSlam and is looking to wind down her time and commitments with the WWE, and she is now focusing on potentially making a run to have one last fight in the UFC and compete at UFC 300 when that presents itself sometime next year. Now, this isn't the first time that this conversation has been had. And each time Dana White has put an absolute stake in it, saying that he is not interested in Ronda Rousey fighting again. The last time he actually said this, I believe was, a couple of days ago, actually, where he was not interested in Ronda Rousey fighting. This is from Bloody Elbow, which is not pro UFC. He says, they say, quote, when asked by the gathered media if the rumor that Rousey, who is seemingly done with WWE and pro wrestling, is gearing up for a return to the octagon, Dana White was curt in his response. There's no shot, he said. She's accomplished everything she set out to do. Her dream was to win a UFC championship, then win a WWE championship, and she's done that. Now she's starting a family. Ronda has made so much money, and she's still making a lot of money in sponsorships. So he's not tipping his hand if she even is interested. 36 years old is for a woman, especially the one that is I hate to say it, as washed as Ronda was the last time she fought in the UFC. I don't think it's a good idea for her to fight in the UFC. Now, she can do whatever she wants, obviously. Clearly, she's a full-grown adult person. But the idea that she would go back to UFC at this age, at this stage, having been out of the game for so long, and was not really competitive, I guess you could say, when she was there, I don't see it making much sense. Not to me. I don't think so. But Dana White might be swerving people. It might be he don't want people to get the drop on him. He's also said that he doesn't think Brock Lesnar is ever coming back either. I don't know. I guess he seems to keep that torch lit a lot longer than he kept the Ronda torch lit. But he says it's not going to happen. She hasn't, vocally or whatever came out and said she wanted to do that. It's just something that people are throwing around because apparently she's done with wrestling. And she hasn't even really said she was done with wrestling. She just said that she's done everything she wanted to do. Doesn't mean she won't come back. So, all right. So the last bit of news here is John Cena. So John Cena now Apparently he's going to have 8 dates or 7 dates, however that's going to go, which includes a match in India. So he's going to come back for a short run. We don't know. They have a list of SmackDowns that he's going to be on. It's going to be all through September and October, if I remember correctly. And this includes his match in India, which I guess is going to be his first ever match in India, where he will team with Seth Rollins to wrestle Giovanni Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser of Imperium. Seemingly very random a match, considering Cena will be working almost exclusively SmackDown, and everybody else in this match is on Raw. I really don't think anybody cares. I think that, these house show like events, they're slapdash thrown together anyway. So, it is what it is, but it sounds like a fun match. I just really thinking about what is he going to do when he comes back, because he's not going to be there for a long time. They haven't announced that he's going to be at any pay-per-views either. Is he going to be built up maybe for a Saudi show? Is that what we're leading towards? Is there a Saudi show coming up? After taking a quick glance, yes, there is a Saudi show in November. So it is perhaps you have seen it for 7 weeks to build up to a match in Saudi Arabia. And he works India because, well, that's just going to be during the time he's going to be there. So this is going to be very interesting. I don't think he's going to be wrestling all of these shows. I think he's going to be doing mostly appearances. We also don't know if he's going to be working dark matches, which he might be. And I could see him basically just doing a bunch of tag team stuff and maybe having whatever his one big match is going to be at the Saudi show. And maybe they'll write him off, because I think the end of this run will be before whatever the next Saudi show is. So maybe they'll write him off TV and then he just flies in for the Saudi show and then that's it. But it's always good to have Cena back, in some description. But WWE is pumping that joint hard. He loves him some John Cena. But we went from a one-night only affair to, God damn it, we're just going to give you the whole shabazzle. Here's 7. Thank you. So you're going to have Cena and Roman on these shows. Something tells me that maybe negotiations ain't working out the way that they want it to. So they're trying to pump them numbers up a little bit. Or maybe, he's not going to have enough Roman to cover the next couple of months. Who knows? There's a lot of things that could be flying around out there. All right, let's get into Raw. The tributes continued tonight, which was, I didn't do a full SmackDown review, but that empty chair that they did for Bray Wyatt, that hurt. That one hurt. The empty chair, boy, oh boy. That was a tough one. They did it again on Raw this week. That was tough. That's a tough one. Nobody likes that. That's sad. That's real sad stuff. All right, so let's get into the show. We start the show with a match. Sami Zayn versus Damian Priest. Now, I like this match. It was a little long, but I liked it, generally speaking. Sami Zayn bust out some really cool moves here. I forgot Damian Priest was Mr. Money in the Bank. It's an important part of his gimmick now, I guess. But he feels so far away and detached from the title that he doesn't feel like he's a guy with the Money in the Bank briefcase. It's hard to explain. But it wasn't until I saw him with it that I was like, oh, he is Mr. Money in the Bank. Shit, I thought the Money in the Bank was gone for the year already. I got a conspiracy theory. We're going to talk about it a little bit. Matter of fact, why wait? I think he's going to win the title at Payback. We'll talk about it in a second, though. Damian Priest gets a little bit of help from JD McDonough, who distracted Sami Zayn, which allowed Damian Priest to hit the South of Heaven choke slam to win the match. After the match, JD McDonough gets into the ring to celebrate with Damian, and he gets shoved down. Then Damian Priest walks away, leaving JD McDonough in the ring, as JD McDonough's like, hey, I was trying to help. And Damian Priest told him to mind his own business. And then Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn proceed to whooping his ass. They whooped JD McDonough's ass. Damian Priest didn't do nothing. He just let it be. So it is what it is. So he just let it happen. So Finn Balor is pissed about this. He didn't like that. That, hey, he wouldn't even won without JD McDonough. So they're getting in each other's faces again. They need to be on the same page, especially as they're fighting for the tag team titles. Tag team titles? What? Anyway, Damian Priest said that he's not friends with JD McDonough. He's not interested in being friends with JD McDonough. And if you want to be friends with that guy, maybe you should take off. Rhea Ripley then, chastised both men like they're not full-grown adults, telling them that they're acting like children and saying that they have been screwing up week after week. And they've been making the Judgment Day look weak and making them look so weak that people have started taking shots at her, like Raquel Rodriguez. She said that if every member of Judgment Day does not have a championship at the end of Payback, there will be changes. Damian Priest says that he teased the Money in the Bank at that point, and that's when the light bulb went off over my head. And I said, they're not going to win the tag team titles, but Damian Priest will win the world championship. And they're going to kick out Finn Balor. I can see it coming. So later in the show, it was announced by Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn that they're going to have a Steel City street fight against Finn Balor and Damian Priest in order to end this feud once and for all, because they are definitely tired of Judgment Day. Okie dokie. So, for starters, I'm not a big fan of the tag team championship match. It seems very random. In fact, a lot of stuff on Payback feels random. Feels like it. Yes, it's been stuff that's been on TV, but it doesn't feel like it's pay-per-view worthy. But adding a steel cage match, adding a street fight, it does bolster the show quite a bit. Especially on stale matches that we've seen 100 times already and we're kind of tired of it. Okay, you're going to put some finality to this. Okay, fine. I'm willing to accept it as long as that's the case. But I'm thinking clearly Finn Balor's going to lose. He's going to be the one that's going to get pinned here. They're going to be pissed at him. And Damian Priest is going to cash in his Money in the Bank, likely in the main event, and win the title. And then he's going to be a member of Judgment Day that has a championship. And the only one who doesn't have a title is Finn Balor. And he's going to get kicked out. He's going to be the big change that they need to make. And I see that coming. And you know what? That's a babyface turn for Finn. And as long as he doesn't go back to being a smiley babyface Finn Balor, it ought to be fine. Like if he's miserable babyface Finn Balor and he's going to get revenge on the Judgment Day, that could be cool. It just means that we reheat Finn Balor to wrestle for the world title again. As, now he's got to have a run of matches with Damian Priest, which is probably not the greatest idea, But especially since Damian Priest would have just won the title, that means Finn Balor is not going to win it. But that's just generally speaking the booking decisions. Finn Balor lost a bunch of matches to Seth Rollins, some of them because Damian Priest is going to end up winning the title, and then Finn Balor is going to end up chasing him for the belt. Okay, but they're going to have more of a personal beef that's going to be not with as much history as the Rollins Balor stuff. But I can definitely see them doing the Money in the Bank and, Finn Balor being the odd man out, the one member of Judgment Day that doesn't have a title. I mean, it makes sense. All right, Drew McIntyre is pissed off about the whole Viking Raiders thing, but he's also kind of, not interested in being a tag team with Matt Riddle, especially not wearing matching gear. And he has a picture of himself wearing matching gear with Matt Riddle, and he doesn't like it very much. Matt Riddle talks him into going ringside to watch a tag team match between the Viking Raiders and the New Day. Oh my Jesus. Oh my God. This was the one part of the show where I wanted to flip everything. I'm tired of you talk about stale shit. A hoarder, the bottom layer of a hoarder's house has less staleness than this match. There's nothing interesting about the Viking Raiders whatsoever. Can we please have them drafted to the NWA put them in a box, ship them to Impact. They need to get the fuck out of here. All right, they suck. And the New Day, I mean, I just can't believe they're still there. It's like we tried the solo thing with them, but we keep ending up back in the tag team. This is not working. Look, I don't know what you do. I don't know what you have to do. I don't know what you can do. I don't know what you should do. I know that everybody seems to like New Day because, they're very positive guys and all this kind of stuff. But, you got to keep it 100. There's nothing positive to be gained from New Day continuing the way that they are. There's just nothing good coming from it. Nobody cares about them enough that when they lose, they put other people over. They're not in a high level storyline. And the whole time I'm thinking about this, let's move past the New Day for a second. I'm wondering, why the fuck is Drew McIntyre in this? This guy who should be working for the world title or doing something in a very personal, heated feud is fucking around with this jag-off Matt Riddle and these other clowns in the New Day and these other clowns, these vagabonds, these ne'er-do-wells, the Viking Raiders, and then here's Drew McIntyre, main event talent, surrounded by mid-carders doing mid-card comedy shit. Bro, this is ridiculous. Like, why did he even come back for this? I wouldn't want to do this. And I'm not saying have a super gigantic fucking ego, but for Christ's sake, why would you want to do this? Like, you're not adding anything to your legacy. You're not adding anything to the company, really. You're just spinning your wheels at this point. I don't see where you're going with this. Even if it ends in a heel turn, you end up feuding with Matt Riddle. Who cares? Like, this is so dumb. So, of course, they do the old, just like triple threat matches are cliche, WWE is cliche as fuck. If somebody's sitting at ringside, they're going to get smacked, pushed, somebody's going to get thrown at them, or whatever, and then that person is going to end up costing whoever else the match. So that's exactly what happened here. The fatter version of the Viking Raiders threw two guys onto Drew McIntyre and Riddle. Then McIntyre got pissed, threw a chair, ended up hitting Xavier Woods in the face with it. After this, the Viking Raiders took advantage, beat Kofi, and they win. Then Drew McIntyre threw a tantrum. He was continuously throwing chairs. Then apologized to Xavier Woods for what he did. Apologized to Kofi Kingston. Kofi, backstage, they were in the trainer's room, and he's like, "Oh, Drew, we know that's not you. We know you don't really want to throw tantrums like that. That was completely out of character. It was an accident." And they forgave him immediately instead of, adding some heat there and teasing the heel turn by having Drew either not give a fuck that he did it or that, the other guys are pissed off because he did it. They just decided everybody's good. The New Days they're just angels. They're saints. Oh, you hit my friend with a chair and he's in a, and not only did we lose the match, which is embarrassing, but, he's in the trainer's room and we don't know what's going to happen to him, but we forgive you, Big Drew. You're my buddy. Anyway, Drew McIntyre wants to fight the Viking Raiders next week. I literally screamed. Because I can't imagine there's something I want to see less than more Viking Raiders. Again, heavens to Betsy. Unless Valhalla was one of those people that Vince bent over his desk, there is no reason for them to still be on TV. I mean, look at the level of talent of people who are not featured every week. And realize that the Viking Raiders are featured every fucking week. And they still get no reaction. Nobody cares. And their matches are entirely too fucking long. I just don't see any reason for this. This is horrible. This is the shits. Alright. They showed a vignette for Raquel Rodriguez and Rhea Ripley. In the vignette, Raquel says she's tired of watching Rhea Ripley take advantage of people using her size and strength, and that she wants to have some revenge for what Rhea did to Liv. and believes that she's bigger and stronger than Rhea Ripley. Okie dokie. So Rhea Ripley comes out there to cut a promo and says that Raquel Rodriguez had to fake an injury, play up an injury in order to get the drop on her. But Raquel is an idiot who thinks that she can win this title, and that Raquel Rodriguez might be big, she might be strong, she might be tough, but she's still not mommy. So then as she was cutting her promo, Raquel marched out there with the happiest music of all time. I don't understand why that music still exists. Please get rid of that music. It sucks. It sucks really bad. And they had their fight scene in which Raquel got the upper hand. They're telling a very simple story here, that Rhea Ripley is the big dominator, but then there's always somebody bigger and stronger. So here's Raquel. They haven't done a great job of really characterizing Raquel outside of she's big and smiley, which means that this is going to be more about Raquel is going to be a stepping stone for Rhea. And if you look at somebody like Rhea, like, oh yeah, she's so much bigger than everybody else, that's why she wins. Then she's going to end up beating Raquel, even though Raquel is bigger than she is, taller than she is, and more muscular than she is. So it's going to give Rhea an opportunity to fight from underneath, which is going to get her more over, But I don't know. They're not ready for Raquel yet. They're giving her a pay-per-view match, which makes it seem like she's ready, but they're not. They're not doing anything with her. They're basically utilizing her size, and that's about it. It's no different than like a Nia Jax storyline or something. Kind of goofy, but whatever. The match ought to be fun at least. I know they had some fun matches at NXT, but that's back when people actually cared about Raquel and they actually positioned her as being something, especially something that matters. Remember when she was Big Mommy Cool? I'm not saying that we should go back to that, but I'm saying is funny how Rhea Ripley just kind of stole her shit. All right. So the Miz comes out dressed as LA Knight, and this popped me. For starters, Miz's LA Knight impersonation popped the shit out of me. I'm telling you, I had fun with that. So he's even mocking the voice. He's saying, yeah, I mean, what? I mean, yeah. He talked about that he's so confident that when he gets in the ring with the Miz, he starts stuttering and fumbling his words. Then he mocked LA Knight some more about doing Stone Cold gimmicks and Rock gimmicks and stuff like this. Then he said he had a bag of LA Knight t-shirts that he was going to give away. Then he ended up taking up all of the stuff off, the glasses, the jacket, everything that he was wearing that was reminiscent of LA Knight. And said that LA Knight is a phony, that anybody can do what he does. That when it comes to Miz, it's not about catchphrases. When he says that he's awesome, that's not a catchphrase, it's the truth. And I was like, ooh. So he actually came with some fire again. Again, tearing down LA Knight. Again, making LA Knight seem like he's second rate. Like he's not good enough. Like he's just a copycat. Which is the angle that a lot of older fans have decided to play with LA Knight. So this works. This was tremendous. This was a very WWE throwback segment where one wrestler mocks another. Vocal tone, how they look, who they're trying to be. This was very fun. What made it even more fun is when LA Knight's music played, the pop was amazing. Wade Barrett was was marking out the mega star and all this kind of stuff. So it made it very fun when the Miz came out with the with the 5 o'clock shadow, with the glasses and everything, and the jacket. It was great. It was really good. The Miz is showing his ass in this feud, man. Like, he's doing a really good job of getting LA Knight over. This man knows what his job is. He's attacking everything that the fans like about LA Knight and trying to make it seem like it's simpleton stuff, like anybody could do it. It's just a gimmick. And the fans will jump on anything, at least temporarily. But what about the long term? What about, 5 or 6 or 10 years later? So, yes, it's testing LA Knight a lot because you have a guy going directly at LA Knight's strengths and telling people what you are thinking is good is not that good, is actually very simple, or it's a copy of somebody else, or he's derivative in some way, he's belittling LA Knight. Yes, all of that is happening. But in reality, it's getting LA Knight more over because people don't care. You know, he's still a fun guy on his own. He's not all ripoff. He's still a fun guy on his own. So it's a test for LA Knight, really. You know, Miz coming out there, cutting these great promos, basically calling them a ripoff and all this kind of stuff on a flash in the pan. It comes across as a little burial, a little brutal, but this is how LA Knight needs to make his stripes, you know, because this is what people like Kevin Nash think. They think that there's no substance to LA Knight. That is all, he's just mocking The Rock, you know. You have to go out there. You have to change people's minds. You have to convince them. You have to get people to believe in you. Not just chant along with you, not just sing your song, not to just buy your t-shirt because it's a cool thing to do, because people like joining fads. You have to create substance. And this gives LA Knight an ability to create substance. He actually gets to create something new, add different elements to his character by feuding with The Miz. So this is great. This is all very well done. Next, Ludwig Kaiser versus Chad Gable. So Gunther stood on the desk because he had to give another address. Then he said that Gable has made history. He was the first person to beat him, but he beat him by countout. And he is still the Intercontinental Champion. So in reality, Gable won nothing. But he has achieved one thing, and that is he pissed him off. Says now he has Gunther's full attention and his full focus. And he is standing in the way of himself and his legacy. And he's going to finish this thing next week on Raw. I was like, next week on Raw? Okay. Gable interrupted. They did a gimmick where he was talking about he beat Gunther in 10 seconds. And it won't take him 10 seconds next time. I was like, I don't think it works that way. I don't think that match was 10 seconds. So I wouldn't put it in those words, but okie dokie. Anyway, Chad Gable ended up wrestling Ludwig Kaiser. The match was lengthy. It was a lengthy match, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. This was very good. Kaiser, he's the truth. All right. There's something definitely there. He's got charisma. He's got personality. You know, I know that if they were to do like an old school heel thing where he's coming out there in one of those red coats with like sparkles on it or like whatever, kind of like Bobby Roode or something like that, he could really go to the next level. I think that maybe, just maybe, and maybe I'm pushing it. Maybe I'm thinking too highly of these people. But I'm thinking this is probably going to end up being a world title match in like 2 or 3 years. You know? Like, that's how I was, like, when I was watching this, I was like, I could see this being a world title match in, like, 3 years. You know, who's going to be the champion? I don't know. It'd probably be Chad Gable, knowing Triple H, but whatever. Now, the title match, the Intercontinental Championship match, Gunther versus Chad Gable being put on Raw rather than on Payback, I don't understand that decision. I generally don't understand that decision. I get that you want to be able to book things for Raw that are going to make people want to watch that show. I get that, but you've done the first 2 matches on Raw already. Why not just do the third one on pay-per-view? What is the aversion to putting the U.S. title or the Intercontinental title on pay-per-view? And I know that they're doing the U.S. title match on pay-per-view this time, but it seems silly to me that we can't put both belts on the show. Like, what's the problem? There's literally other things on Payback that you don't need to put there. I mean, do we really need Cody on the Grayson Waller effect? Like, really, what's about to happen on that show in that segment that it needs to be on pay-per-view? I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, really. Anyway, Kaiser and Gable did a really good job. The match ended in disqualification after Gable hit the Chaos Theory and Vinci jumps into the ring to start the brawl. Did not like that this match was so long and was actually pretty good, and then they threw the disqualification at it. Again, typically, count-outs, disqualifications, perfectly fine. Endings, do them very quickly. Do not do 10-minute, 20-minute match disqualification. That's going to piss me off. I'm sorry. And once you invest time into this thing, you deserve a finish. I know that you think that you can do whatever you want, but once you get people invested in something, they should want a legitimate finish to the match. Telling people to invest 20 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever into a match that just is going to throw it out, it's like, why get people invested in something you're going to throw out? It really doesn't make any sense, because nobody's going to rewatch a match that ended as a count out. Nobody cares about a match that ends in count out, or a disqualification. It has to be a very, very special match. Like, Shawn Michaels and Mankind in your house, Mind Games. A very special match that most people forget will end in a disqualification. Most people forgot about that. I think Shawn Michaels and Undertaker from Ground Zero was one such match. And that was a main event, and there was no winner. So there's very, very few times you'll have a match and it's really good and it ends on a count out or disqualification, and you're perfectly okay with that. This was acceptable, but I still felt burnt, because I'm like, this match was too long for you to just do a disqualification. And it's not like you're overprotecting Kaiser. It's like he loses literally all the time. But I guess they're trying to do something more with him now. So, okay, well, if that was going to be the case, then you don't put him in this match. You put Vinci in it. I don't know. Very weird, but they ate up a lot of time. Second week in a row where they decided to dedicate a lot of time to the Alpha Academy and Imperium. So, here we go again with this. All right, Seth Rollins. He's out there, and I'm pretty sure he's wearing women's clothes again, and I'm not a fan of that. They replayed bits of the video Shinsuke Nakamura put out last week, where he threatened to attack the back of Seth Rollins. So Seth Rollins comes out, he screams, "Yowie, wowie," and then, went into his spiel about Monday Night Rollins before calling out Shinsuke Nakamura, who did not come out. Instead, we got a video package where Nakamura was doing martial arts, and there was a sai, and I think there was a katana, there was nunchucks. He was kickboxing. He was doing like all kinds of kenpo and all this kind of stuff. And he was speaking again in Japanese with subtitles, saying that he's going to break Seth Rollins, and he wants Seth Rollins' wife to know that he is the reason why Seth has to be helped out of the bed. He wants Seth Rollins' daughter to know that he is the reason he can't walk her down the aisle. And he said Seth Rollins has no honor, he has no code, and he has no future. And this was another fantastic video. And it seems like Nakamura is not only more serious, it seems like he's a completely different character at this point. Like, this isn't King of Strong Style Nakamura, because that is, based a lot on Michael Jackson, the entertainment aspect. This is like Lethal Assassin Nakamura. Like, this guy's about to commit a homicide in this joint. You know what I'm saying? Like he's Seth Rollins is marked for death. I'm like, oh my God. So Seth Rollins is deeply concerned about this. He wonders what happened to Shinsuke Nakamura. Why is he acting this way? What happened to the man who main evented the Tokyo Dome? Where is he? It says a month ago he would have given Shinsuke Nakamura the same shirt that's on his broken back. But this month, because Nakamura has changed, he's going to hurt him. Then he says that, yes, he has broken back, broken in two places, but it hasn't stopped him. Hasn't stopped him from winning the World Heavyweight Championship, hasn't stopped him from defending it. And while he was talking, Nakamura snuck up from behind and gave him a Kinshasa to the back of the head. I was like, oh, brother. Oh, boy. Another clean knockout for Nakamura. So he definitely ain't about to win the title. But this is an absolute A+ tier build for this match. The build for this match has been A+. All right, it's been very simple. Nakamura is locked in. He's under a different mindset. You know, he's serious. He's lethal. He's efficient. And, you know, Seth Rollins is still goofing off. You know, he's the sad clown where he walking around in pain all the time, but he still has to come out there and laugh and talk about sing my song and all this kind of stuff. But in reality, he's in trouble. You know, and maybe he even knows it. But what can he do, really? He has to push through. He has to fight through it. You know, it's the tale of the sad clown. So this was excellent. This was a really good job. And this was definitely a well-done investment on people's time. Even if you're not the biggest fan of Shinsuke Nakamura, you still want to see this if you watch these two videos back-to-back especially. And even Seth Rollins continuously admitting that this is a problem, but it's a problem that he can overcome. It's a problem that he can fight through. So you've already been told the story. You know, the story is going to be there. Nakamura is going to try to break Seth Rollins' back. Seth Rollins is going to fight from underneath. He may survive and beat Nakamura, but then there's going to be Damian Priest. So they're telling you right now that Seth Rollins is probably about to lose the title. You know, is it possible that Nakamura wins the belt and then Priest cashes in and takes it from him? Sure, that's possible. But I think it's probably better if he takes it off of Seth Rollins, considering Seth Rollins is more over. So that was very good. Very good shit. All right, Tommaso Ciampa versus Bronson Reed, a match that's happening for no reason. These two guys are almost never on this show, by the way. But when they are, you can guarantee they're fighting each other. And I didn't care about this because, again, Tommaso Ciampa is doing DIY stuff on Twitter and behaving in a completely different way than he does on television. Again, these guys, are they feuding? It's like they're gone for 3 weeks at a time, and then they come back and they wrestle each other in some form or fashion. But I like both guys, I guess. Big Boy he's coming along. I think that you're better off doing something else with these guys. I don't know. I say look at it, make them a tag team. Why not? Fuck it. Does it matter, really? Because these guys are just doing terminally mid-card shit. Why can't Bronson Reed be feuding with like Drew McIntyre? I mean, Drew McIntyre needs some upper-level shit to do. Bronson Reed needs to rub. He also needs to push. Why wouldn't you put those two guys together? Why is he feuding with the fucking Viking Raiders? Why is Bronson Reed in a forever feud with Tommaso Ciampa where they're just wrestling each other in circles? Like, what is the end goal of this? Where you win some, you lose some, but you live to fight another day. But you don't win anything and nothing actually happens and it doesn't affect your career at all. So Bronson Reed loses because of a botched crucifix bomb, which looks goofy because, I mean, Bronson Reed is literally twice as wide as Tommaso Ciampa. So to believe that he can get him in a crucifix bomb in the first place is already outside of the realm of possibility. So then in doing so, it wasn't a stable position. And in trying to stay in the position, they end up messing it up even more. And they end up having to come up with some kind of impromptu thing. I don't get it. This was fine, but really, bro, who gives a shit? I'm not even gonna hold you up. I don't give a fuck about this. It was a fine match. It didn't overstay its welcome, but I just looked at it and said, these guys could probably be doing something much more. You know, Ciampa could definitely be doing something better, and Bronson Reed definitely could be doing something better. You know, even though he is not quite my favorite wrestler, he could definitely be having bangers and big matches with other people, even if they're upper mid-card stuff, than spinning his wheels against Tommaso Ciampa. I mean, please get the fuck out of here, okay? All right, so Becky Lynch cut a promo. Oh, boy. Oh, brother. Becky Lynch says she's been backed into a corner, and that, but this isn't the easy way out, but she didn't want the easy way out. She wanted to fight them. And so Trish then cut a promo later saying Zoe can do anything she wants to do to Trish Stratus in the Falls Count Anywhere match tonight, but she wants Zoe to leave her a piece at Payback. To which Zoe Stark says that she's going to beat Becky Lynch, but she's going to leave just enough for Trish at Payback. Bully Ray's comments about Becky Lynch. We'll talk about it after this. How about that? We'll talk about it after this. All right. So the main event of the evening was Falls Count Anywhere. They didn't say it was a Terry Funk appreciation match or whatever, but it was certainly more hardcore than the Terry Funk appreciation match. And guess what? I'll give you some credit. I'll give them some credit. This match alone was the best thing to happen in this feud. This match alone was the best thing to happen in this feud. It was actually pretty damn good, and it was very entertaining. So they had Tiffany Stratton. She was in the crowd watching. I expected her to get involved at some point, but they didn't. They've been teasing the beginning of a thing between Tiffany Stratton and Becky Lynch. Going back to a week ago where Tiffany Stratton mistakenly said Becky Lynch was the NXT champion, then said she didn't care about it when she got corrected. And then Becky Lynch threatened to come to NXT and take her title from her. So that's why she was in the crowd. So I thought, okay, so they're going to do something and then Tiffany Stratton's going to end up, helping Zoe Stark win or something. But they didn't decide to do that. They just, put her on TV for no reason. So she basically flew to Memphis for to do the princess wave, and then that was it. Like, come on. If you knew she was going to be there, you could at least show her all night or something like that, or let her cut a promo in front of the audience or something. I'm not a fan of just, hey, you're sitting here. Hi. And then that's it. It's like, if you're going to be there and we're going to put the camera on you, and you're a wrestler, of course, like you're a regular roster wrestler, you should be doing something, in the match, in the show, somewhere, it's like Chekhov's gun. Don't show me something that you're not going to use, so whatever. Anyway, they start the match with kendo sticks, which I legitimately am very, very angry at Sandman and Tommy Dreamer for ever introducing kendo sticks to wrestling. If I never see another fucking kendo stick in my life, it'd be too soon. I'm so fucking sick of seeing people hit with kendo sticks. I'm actually kind of sick of seeing people get hit with chairs too. I've been watching people get hit with chairs for 30 years. It's a bit much. But at least chairs are metal. These kendo sticks are just like planks of wood. Well, they're bamboo shoots, I believe. But it's quite frankly the goofiest weapon in the world. I'm pretty sure people like them because they're relatively safe. They can still bruise you. But, what happened to happen to ye old trash can lid? I know that in some of the more harder core matches, like the Stadium Stampedes and stuff like that, they're stabbing each other in the heads with shit. And there's barbed wire and, all kinds of explosions and stuff. You don't need to go that far. But what happened to the ye old cookie sheet? Cookie sheets used to be everywhere. Now it's just kendo sticks and chairs. Kendo sticks and chairs. Oh my God. So the big part of this match is that Trish Stratus kept interfering. Some of her interferences worked out very well. Some of them blew up in her face like Wile E. Coyote. The one that blew up in her face the first time was she launched a chair in the ring and hit Zoe Stark in the head with it. And then she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then Zoe Stark no-sold it because it probably was legitimately a mistake. But her big introduction into the match was after the manhandle slam, to where Trish Stratus just jumped in the ring and broke up the pin. From that part forward, she was essentially another combatant in the match. She started getting chased around the ring, getting hit with the kendo stick. She got chased up the ramp and get hit with the kendo stick. Trish Stratus ended up bulldogging Becky Lynch through a table, which was gnarly. They actually did a really good job of psychology here, with Zoe Stark being very beat down and unable to take advantage of what Trish had done. So you had Trish frantically trying to get Zoe to pin Becky Lynch. And then when she finally did it, Becky was able to kick out because there had been so much time in between when she was put through the table and then when Zoe actually got the pinfall. Then they fought through the building and they got on top of some kind of a box or whatever. The three of them are fighting. Zoe Stark throws a punch. Becky Lynch ducks it. She decks Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus takes a table bump and she's down for the count. No crash pad, by the way. She fell off of a box through a table with no crash pad. Jericho. Anyway, Becky Lynch then immediately grabs Zoe Stark, manhandle slam off of some kind of box or a truck or whatever through a table for the pin and the win. I like this match. I thought this match was really good. It was 2-on-1, forcing Becky Lynch to not only strategize but to fight from underneath. I think it's kind of cheap for there to be a 2-on-1 and then the bad guys hit each other. That's kind of the goofiest thing in the world because it almost never happens in real life. When was the last time you've seen somebody get jumped and then the two guys who were jumping them end up hitting each other by mistake and then it making a difference? You know, like it doesn't make much of a difference. But it doesn't happen. But when you write scenes like this and it's like, some Power Ranger shit or something like that, and I guess it doesn't matter that much. I mean, you show that the babyface is fiery. They can fight from underneath. In a 2-on-1 situation, they can handle themselves. They have poise. They have, fighting spirit and all this sort of stuff. But I just don't like the idea that heels all of a sudden, they're idiots who can't, stop from hitting one another. It's just, I hate that. I hate it in tag team matches too, where guys, oh my God, I punched my own tag team partner in the head. Oh no. It's like, come on. How often do people slip on a banana peel, for Christ's sake? All right, but overall, though, I think that it was very good. I think it was the best thing they've done in this feud so far. And I think most people have been criticizing this feud for it being too long and it not having a lot of substance to it. Trish Stratus herself says that she's liked this feud. She's been having fun with it, but it's time for her to move on. She wants to do other things and wrestle other people while she's still here. And can you blame her? She's wrestled almost exclusively Becky Lynch for 4 months, 5 months. I don't think she expected this to be this long. I don't think anybody did. I mean, they tried to have an epic feud, but they kept getting bumped off the show and stuff like that, so it didn't quite work out like they wanted it to. That being said, the killer was Bully Ray's comment. Now, his comment was absolutely hilarious. He says this: sometimes when you run into a situation like that, I mean, I'm guessing he means Becky Lynch not being the biggest star that she used to be. He said the best thing to do is to go away for a little while. Okay, fair enough. I'm not talking about a long time. She had to leave when she was pregnant. She doesn't have to now, but it might be in her best interest to leave. It's all tip of the iceberg stuff. There is no substance to it. I don't know how you can have a megastar the likes of Becky Lynch and just not have anything real for her. You would have thought that this storyline with Trish would have been some of the most real stuff. You know who Becky needs? She needs the same woman that she's needed from day one, Charlotte. That came out of nowhere. Look, I will say this. On the Becky Lynch Charlotte thing. Some people's characters, they do have a sort of relationship that can elevate both. The Becky Lynch character spins out of people being sick of Charlotte, her being the alternative to Charlotte, and people were galvanized behind that. They were galvanized behind the idea that Becky Lynch was one of their girls who they really liked, but she could never quite break through because it was always about Charlotte. So, yes, and so much as Charlotte is the reason Becky Lynch is successful, that is absolutely true. And just like, the Joker needs Batman, Tweety Bird needs Sylvester. To a degree, Charlotte does need Becky Lynch, and Becky Lynch needs Charlotte, and they work well together. That being said, you can't go from she needs to go away to she also needs to feud with Charlotte. because she can't feud with Charlotte forever. You know, it just doesn't work that way. This character has to learn how to work with other people. I can tell you this, I have not been inspired by Becky Lynch's demand gimmick, like, since her feud with Charlotte, because the gimmick was created to mock Charlotte. That was the entire point of the character. Now, I liked Big Time Bex when she was a heel, because I liked the feud with Bianca Belair. That was good. I liked the feud with Liv Morgan. That was good. People didn't like Big Time Bex. They didn't understand why she was dressing all artsy fartsy and why she was talking the way that she was talking. But it was better than what she's doing now. She's trying to recapture something that only happened in relation to a lightning in a bottle 7 or 8 years ago. All right. That was the difference. You know, the difference is she's no longer the underdog anymore who's being held down. She's being positioned as being the badass. She's positioned as being the face of one of the faces of the women's division. The little engine that could story doesn't work anymore. Even if you put her in there with Charlotte, she's still not the underdog because she's beaten Charlotte before. Now, I'm not saying that there's still not something there that you could do between the two of them. Sure, you can. But I think they feuded last year or maybe 2 years ago. They don't need to feud every year. You know, that's when you just become a crutch. Like, oh yeah, we're going to feud again. You know, that's not necessary. These two characters they work, but they need to work separate, you know? And I understand what he's saying. And I actually agree with his earlier part that Becky Lynch maybe needs to take some time off. She needs to go on vacation or something like that and come back refreshed. And maybe Becky Lynch shouldn't be used on a weekly note anymore. Maybe she's better off coming in for big events and then, you know, we replace her as a top star. I don't know, you know, but I know that both Becky and Charlotte, basically all the 4 horsewomen, has run their course. And now it's time for a new crop of girls to come through. The fact that they brought back Trish Stratus to sort of mentor Zoe Stark, I don't know why they stopped at Zoe Stark when she could have been mentoring a couple of other girls too. But doing that, you have the opportunity to build new stars. And Trish Stratus wants to continue to work, but she doesn't want to work with Becky Lynch anymore. She's like, come on, enough's enough. But it's like, you look at the roster, who's left? They've hollowed out the women's division where there's nobody really for Trish Stratus to work with anymore. And that's very unfortunate because I doubt she spends too much time working with Rhea Ripley. You know, that's not going to do her any good. Especially since Rhea hits very hard and all that kind of stuff. But I do think I will be very glad when this feud is over because I think this feud has been very lackluster. I don't think it's really been beneficial to Becky Lynch's career. I don't think it's really been beneficial to Trish Stratus either. So I think it went on too long. And I think we probably should have just had the 2 matches that they had and maybe got to this cage match a lot sooner and then wrote this thing off. Them being bumped from several pay-per-view shows, then being bumped from Raw to Raw 2 weeks later, that kind of shit is what prolonged this thing and really killed any buzz that you could have of it. Anytime you might have got excited for something, it just didn't come out right. The promos weren't very great. But I do believe that they actually nailed something with this Falls Count Anywhere match. I've been very critical of this feud. I can't wait for it to be over. But what about you guys? What do you guys think? Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.